So I read this passage. It's out of Proverbs chapter 21, verses 30 and 31. And it says there is no wisdom, no knowledge, and no understanding against the Lord. For the horse is prepared for the day of battle, but the victory belongs to God. I want you to think a little bit about preparing a horse. You feed it, you groom it, you train that horse. You even spend a little too much time shoveling for that horse. There's certain things that you do, right? But ultimately, the ability to be able to see this happen, it's the power of the horse that makes that happen. God says, guys, this is about me. Now think about how much sense that makes. In Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, remember it says there that our struggle is not against flesh and blood. It's not physical, but against rulers and powers and world forces of darkness and spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. Guys, the bottom line is that God looks back and says, this is spiritual warfare. Now, how exactly are you and I supposed to fight that which we can't even see? See, guys, it's not about us. It's not about our limitations. It's not even about our ability to be smooth. It's about trusting in God and counting on His power and strength to be able to do it. Now, what I want you to see what happened next, this is really interesting to me because Moses had one final excuse. And his final excuse was this. He just looked at God and said, look, I don't really want the job. Could you just get somebody else? Wow. And I think it's fascinating that it says this ticked God off. It says God was really angry about this. I mean, he couldn't believe this was happening. You remember last week we talked about the chess master and his inability to be able to actually play the game. He just has to train the people. And how frustrating that must be. And then I said, think about how God is with us. This is one of those moments. God is just ticked off. He can't believe that he's doing this. You know, it reminds me in 1 Kings chapter 19, there was a time when Elijah simply would not believe God. He wouldn't trust God. He just kept saying it was all about him. It wasn't about God. And finally, God just said, fine, you can't be my prophet anymore. Go find, another prophet. And the reality is he became useless to God. Guys, that's kind of what almost happened here. Now, Moses became awesome. But you know why? He quit making excuses. Guys, everything that had just happened here should have given him confidence. Guys, the same thing is true with us. You know, in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, it says God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but rather a spirit of power, love, and self-control. What we have to understand is when God says, listen, I don't accept your excuses, the reason is because it's not about us. The reason is because he's given us all this proof to have confidence, and the reason is because it's not our limitations, but his power that gets this done. So because of that, there's no reason for excuses. There's reason for all kinds of confidence. Guys, this week, you're going to have an opportunity to maybe step up to the plate within your sphere of influence to change your time and your generation. I want you to understand, Moses changed his world. Why? He quit making excuses. And the reality is that through the process, God used him in a huge way. Let's make sure that happens with us this week.